Hopefully you will excuse me this week as we only have one review and I'm wearing gloves because I'm still recovering from being very sick and trying to protect my family, specifically Starscream wife, from getting what I've had. But maybe you'll forgive me because our one review is actually four. When we look at this, it is the Transformers Legacy United Soundwave, along with, of course, Buzzsaw, Rumble, and Ravage. This pack, this leader pack, will be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe. And while you're at it, light 'em up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that's in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. I don't think for a second that my brain fog is going to help this, but we're going to plug ahead anyway. This is definitely not a leader class, right? But is it good? Is it good? Is it good enough to replace your Siege? Is it good enough to replace your Legacy? Is it good enough to replace your Netflix? Well, we're going to find out together when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And so here we have leader class, Legacy United Soundwave, along with Buzzsaw, Rumble, the toy accurate Rumble, as they say, and yet another version of Ravage. Now, let's be real clear here. And I don't want there to be any mistake about this. Value is not in the eye of the beholder. If you believe that, then that's how you're getting taken advantage of. Value and pricing is based explicitly on math, product used, development input, distribution, manufacturing, sales, like all of this uses mathematical formulas. And Hasbro has been looking under Chris Cox to make a profit for their shareholders of 20%. They are not there. They are at 13% profitability. That's where they're to. That's a fact. That's math, that's numbers. Doesn't lie. Which means they're trying to do a lot of shady stuff. One, reduce costs by doing things like laying more people off, a la John Warden. And then this. It's not a leader. With every single thing in the package, everything that has to do with Soundwave and all of his bits and pieces, everything that has to do with Rumble and all of his bits and pieces, Buzzsaw and Ravage, comes in at 164 grams of plastic. A Voyager has always been between 145 and 165. This is explicitly a Voyager that is being oversold as a leader. They have done it in the past. I'm sure they're going to try and do it again, and it's time for fans to stop allowing them to do so. It's embarrassing. It should be embarrassing for them as a company to try and pass this off. Excellent Voyager. I'm going to tell you now, get this on sale. Do not pay leader class price for it. It's not a leader class. Learn from me, learn from others. Now I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, but hey, GotBot, he has the cassette mode. He's perfect. Maybe so. And maybe it's fine if you bite the bullet. But if you're going to bite the bullet and pay a leader class price for it, at least be fan enough, human enough, consumer enough to say, hey, they got me. I did it before. I've done it before. I did it with Shockwave in 2019 with Siege Shockwave. Said I love it. I love it. I overpaid for it. They got me. I'll never buy another Shockwave again. And guess what? We're here 5 years, almost 6 years later. I've never even been tempted to buy another Shockwave, and I never will be. They overcharged me once, so now they lose any future sales from me. Same thing here. This is excellent. I'll tell you that now, as we will compare it to a lot of things. But they overcharged me for it. I'll never, ever even consider a G1 Soundwave ever again. Done. You got me. You got me. But now you've lost any potential future sales. Which brings me to the packaging art. This is the core class packaging art. I mean, come on, guys. You couldn't even reuse this part. being the correct alt mode, you gotta use the core one, which is fantastic, but it doesn't look like this. Rumble down here looks fine, Ravage looks Ravagey, and Buzzsaw looks Buzzsaw-esque. Over here we have the robot, the close-up of his head, again, looks very Soundwave-y, looks just fine. Sorry about the glare. Over here we have our typical Legacy United stuff, and on the back we have all of the things that come in the box. I will tell you now, this is going to be real quick because I'm not doing any of the transformations. I don't need to. We've seen it 100 times before, so I'm not going to kind of bore you with that again. The packaging comes with this gigantic sheet of instructions. I can't possibly imagine that anybody now doesn't know how to transform a cassette or, for that matter, Soundwave. So let's start things off with Rumble, who's next to my custom enemy, who's next to Frenzy. We also have the 4-pack Rumble that's like black and blue. It's a weird coloration, which is basically this exact same mold. You will notice that both Frenzy and Rumble are slightly bigger. That's because the thighs are longer, and now they have actual toes that flip down instead of being part of the thing. The transformation changed ever so slightly because of it. Not a lot, but a little bit. The main difference being that the head here doesn't go down. The back of the head becomes part of the cassette with the shoulders coming up next to it. With this mold, the head actually flips back into the body and the shoulders come up and connect together over the top. Then you fold up the legs pretty much the exact same way as before, except now you have to flip in toes. If you want to know how to do the transformation, go back and look at episode 1185 in July when we did Frenzy, because I'm not going to do it here. I will say this as I take Frenzy out of it and take him out of it. The Studio Series Rumble that came out, I know it was cartoon accurate. I agree it was cartoon accurate. It was based on the brighter colorations that you tend to see for Rumble. When I think of Rumble, I really think more of this coloration, which is strange. You would think I would think of the other one where I'm a cartoon guy. I was never ever interested in buying that. Wasn't interested in buying this. It was a gift from Starscream Wife. This I only have because it came in the package. I actually prefer the Titans Return versions. Why? Because they have elbows. These don't. And that's a bummer. So for look of the guy, honestly, I'm going to call it a 10. But I also think the Studio Series one is also a 10. Like, I think either one is a 10. Depends on what animation you're looking at, or if you're going for toy or animation accuracy. Right? For what this is trying to accomplish, the look is a 10. Just like what the Studio Series Rumble is trying to accomplish with the cartoon look is also a 10. In terms of the transformation, I mean, I think that they're pretty easy, so I'm going to say that the transformation is, again, a 10. It works out really smooth, really easy. For what it is, you know. Then we get the articulation, which for me is about a 7. It's great. I mean, we have knees, we have, you know, I guess I can do the articulation quickly here. We have a head that goes left and right and looks back and looks down a little bit. The legs go way out to the side and, you know, they go all the way forward and back. We have a very deep knee because of the transformation. A ball joint allows for there to be a swivel, a toe up and down. The shoulders can go all the way around. We have a wrist that goes in and out. Yes, we can put the pieces on here if you want to do the pile driver thing. But unlike the eject and rewind mold, this guy has no elbows. To me, that's a bummer. That ruins it. Why do you have a modern day version that has no elbows? We know that there's a version of arms that exists that have elbows. All you had to do was reuse that, and I don't know why you didn't bother to do it. So, this is okay. I wasn't blown away with Frenzy. I'm not blown away with this. They're fine, but their fatal flaws, no elbows. Also in this pack, yet another Rumble. This one has all black legs instead of the gray legs. Why can't you just do gray legs with a black paint app on the paws? That's the way the guy looks. Also, while did this one over here, and this is the one, by the way, that came with the Netflix Soundwave, why did this one have a gray peg back here as part of the neck when we know that the back of Ravage's head and neck is black? Somewhere in between the two of these is a decent Ravage, in terms of deco anyway. Same thing. Like Ravage up on the front paw should have a Decepticon logo. Here you got no Decepticon logo. So I don't know, I might hodgepodge bits and pieces of these together and have a Ravage and then like a Ravage clone, because those exist too. So I don't know. We all know how strong and weak this mold is. It is what it is. Overall, it's not great. I've shown the transformation a billion times. The articulation is not much, with the head able to go up and down, and the shoulders can move, and these back pieces can move a little bit, but it's nothing great. I don't know. 6, we'll say, because why not? And then we have Buzzsaw that's grinded a lot of gears of a lot of people. So, here we see 3. This over here was part of a Siege 2-pack that I got with another version of Ravage, and I actually ended up using 3 or 4 versions of Ravage as partners for my Lyle Kaiser team members by customizing them and painting them and adding some parts and stuff like that. I had a Spear laser beak left over. It's the Cybertronian laser beak. You can tell by the big visor up here. I colored the red gold to give myself a Buzzsaw. So I guess Cybertronian mode Buzzsaw, if you will. Then I got the, by the way, I like the gold better than the yellow, but that's just me. Then I got the Netflix Soundwave, who came with Earth Mode Laserbeak. Earth Mode Laserbeak is great. I love all the detail on him and whatnot. Doing the transformation, his head loves to stay stuck inside the body. It's a bit of a chore to get out. A lot of people, myself included, have wondered why was Laserbeak's beak not painted silver? It should have been painted silver. I agree. Then we get Buzzsaw, and Buzzsaw's is actually painted gold. He has the same detailing as Laserbeak, exact same transformation. When we first saw images, I thought the body was actually going to be gold paint. I'm a bit disappointed that it's just like yellowy gold plastic. It's not hateful, it's just, it's cheaper than what I was hoping for. Again, great mold, great transformation. Of all 3 of the cassettes, I love the bird ones the most. I'm going to say if the Ravage is a 6, if the Rumble is like an 8 or whatever, I think this is like a 9, right? I don't think the cassettes are anything to write home about. They're fine. They're fine. The main event, though, is... That's right, the main event is Soundwave himself. And here you can see the Netflix version next to the new Legacy United version. And I always had problems with the Netflix version because I hated the yellow paint around the chest. As a matter of fact, I intend to paint this all a gold color. Just haven't done it yet. You'll also notice that up here, this gray is starting to slightly turn. I would probably suggest painting it silver, which I've done with a number of parts on this guy, to be honest with you, including the button up here I didn't paint silver. I painted that a gray. This section down here is silver over here, and I painted both of these sides that were gray silver because they were starting to turn as well. Here, it's all gray. Here it tabs in. It's never ever tabbed in over the tabs on this guy. Don't know why. It's just never tabbed in there. You'll also notice that maybe if we go to the back, that the overall blue here is a little bit darker than here. A little bit of discoloration here and here. It's not bad. It's not gone green, but it is a little bit of discoloration. Worth noting, right? So they're not really different, but... This one suffers from that QC issue with the yellowing plastic, both on the gray and the blue. And not for nothing, it never ever should have happened. The only reason it happened is because Hasbro's irresponsible and outright said that they stopped doing QC checks in 2020 and 2021 because of lockdowns, while simultaneously changing factories. So all of this era was produced at a factory where really they didn't know the quality of the materials used. They didn't check the quality of the materials used. They just let them do what they were going to do. And when it started turning yellow, what was Hasbro's reaction? Not our fault. We didn't do checks. Maybe you should have. Or maybe you shouldn't have changed factories amid the greatest, global catastrophe, so to speak, of the modern era. I think there was a lot about how Hasbro did business at this time that was really underhanded and I didn't like it. Otherwise, the blues, the light blues, they're basically the same. The buttons here are silver, the buttons here are this gray color. So that's what it is here. The reason that I'm starting out in this mode is because I've already done the transformation for this guy, as I did with the cassettes. For anybody who's interested enough to want to see the transformations, you can go back to episode 802 where I do show this guy going from robot to cassette, and I also show the cassettes, right? That was episode 802 way back in January of 2021. And if you're interested in seeing the transformation really the other way, though I will show the transformation back to robot here with this guy. If you're really interested in seeing the transformations going the other way, you can check out my Shattered Glass Soundwave review. That was episode 1058 in March of last year, 2023. So we're going to take this guy out of it. Okay, so let's get into this. We're going to pick that up and we're going to pick these off the side and straighten them out. We're going to fold in those two little tabs there and we're going to bring the legs all the way down and turn them this way. We're going to open up the back of the leg and this section. Note that I find the pegs here, and there's a peg here that goes into the a peg hole on the bottom of his foot. I find both pegs crazy tight on this version, tighter than the Netflix. Picking this one, like you can see here, like really tight. There. Woo. Okay, got those done. Then we come to the arms and we split them and bring them out to the side. We can take the whole lower body now and turn it around and bring these up on the side and they clip in. We open up the back here and we flip out the head and close the back up. Rotate an arm, rotate an arm. Now, I have the forearm fillers from, I think it's Soundwave Studios. Not Soundwave, Shockwave Labs. Shockwave Labs. I have the arm fillers of Shockwave Labs put on this guy. And just close that up. And boom, in the end, here we have Soundwave in his robot mode. 10 for the transformation. And honestly, this is where things start to get weird for me. So, in terms of a look for Soundwave, honestly, arguably, both of them are pretty much perfect. For some reason, both of them have this silver up on the shoulder. I don't know why. He didn't have it in the cartoon, so I don't think it should be there. That's the only thing that keeps either of these guys really being a 10 for the look. Now, here's what else is weird. You will notice very vividly on his blaster here and possibly up here that there's a very crisp red line. It's in the molded detail. Guess what? The Netflix one did not have the red detail up here or here. I took the blasters of the Siege version, or the Legacy version, the one that turns into the weird ship thing, and gave it to this guy. So he does have the red around there and the red up here, but for some reason it's not in the molded detail. It's out closer to the edge of the barrel. It's like the aim was off when they applied the paint. You'll also notice around his wrist here, vivid red detail. Around his wrist was nothing. But because these are the Siege arms, we have that same detail there. It's not as deep a red as this one. This one's almost a little more pinky, but I never noticed it until I saw it next to this red. You will also note that this one has thighs that discolor. I've painted mine. And by rights and elbow that discolors. I don't have that problem because I'm using the Siege arms again, right? I like the gold around here, and I like that the gold comes down on the hinges. This one has the gold to the side and yellow around, though I'm planning to paint that gold around, not down on the hinges. I'm sorry, but adding a little bit of red detail, a paint app around there and here and on the blaster, and just making the paint around here gold and down there is, to me, not enough to all of a sudden say, hey, this is a leader class value. You might say, wait, there's 3 cassettes. This guy came with 2 cassettes, and he here in Canada anyway, retailed for regular Voyager price. He was regular Voyager price with 2 cassettes. I'm not sure how a couple of extra paint apps and 1 extra cassette goes from, and again I gotta use Canadian pricing here, goes from $40 at the time to $80 now. I don't see how that makes this double the value. I don't see how including this adds any value. Let's give some scores. As far as the cassettes are concerned, overall score I'm going to give as an 8. We're going to take this guy out of it. The transformation I said was a 10 for him. The look, honestly, 9.5. I can't say 10 because they got this silver detail. Didn't need it. It's not accurate. Don't want it, to be very frank. The head goes left, right, looks up and down. Great light piping when the light catches it. Arms go all the way around. They go out. The ratchets on the arms this time are not nearly as crazy tight at the shoulders as they are with the Netflix one. I've heard of breakage at the shoulders with the Netflix one. Mine's always been fine, but I've heard of breakage at the shoulders. There's a bicep swivel, elbow to 90 degrees. Wrist rotation? I don't think. No wrist rotation. So bummer there. Nice waist. You can pick up the hip skirt pieces for forward. No, I guess you can pick up the back to get all the way back. I take that back. I was going to say no back, but that's wrong. All the way out to the side. Thigh swivel. 90 degrees at the knee. Ankle tilt. Has everything you could want, really, other than a wrist. So I'm going to say 9.5 again. Overall, I think this Soundwave, or if you're happy with the Netflix version, either one is about a 9.5. They're great Soundwaves. I thought this was worth the money. I don't think that this is worth the money. Had the QC been checked and the Netflix one not have any issues, I never would have considered this in a billion years. Not in 10 billion years. But because the Netflix has the QC issue, that's the only reason I got this. And it will be the last Soundwave I will get. Here's what I would say as a final assessment, because I know I'm griping about the price, and you should too as a consumer. This is a fantastic Soundwave. Overall score for him is a 9.5, for the cassettes was an 8. You average it out, this whole set is like a 9. I would advise getting it on sale, or if you're going to pay full price like I did, at least, man, have the gumption to say, hey, they got me, right? After all, I really can't argue with this. How can you not be impressed with this look? I mean, yeah, we could have Howlback, we could have Garboil. I would really like a Slugfest, maybe a proper Overkill or Overboard if you prefer. This guy here, I mean Beastbox and Squawk Talk or Squawk Box if you prefer. That's Dr. Wu, which is a great set. I mean, this looks phenomenal. That said, a lot of times, because I prefer the articulation, I will also pair this guy with the Titan's Return cassette bots, or well, tablet bots, I suppose. And you know what? That looks fabulous too. Great set, just wildly overpriced. And here we are once again. So, very quickly, we have Rumble, and Rumble really, I mean, is no different than what we had when I reviewed Frenzy. Biggest disappointment is no elbows. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. I still prefer the Titan's Return versions because they have elbows. It's simple as that. But this is fine. I do like the deeper coloration, I think, than the individual release had. But, I mean, that's only a matter of degrees. Then we have another Ravage. I don't like the black on the paws. But I do like the black on the handle behind his head, and I'm probably going to trade out paws on this guy and give him gray paws. I don't know why they haven't been able to do gray paws like that have gray legs, but like black actual paws. It's just a very small paint app, guys. Come on! But that's a bit iffy as it is. Great mold for Laserbeak / Buzzsaw. I thought that I was going to hate the plastic being gold more than I do, because I liked the gold paint better, but this is okay. I do love that his beak is painted a beautiful shade of gold. It's a fine Buzzsaw, and I'm glad to have it. Then we get to this guy, and you know what's shocking? Like, I have both, and I was never particularly happy with this guy before he ever started to discolor a little bit. Now, I painted mine a number of ways, and he is serviceable. I still need to do this yellow around because I don't like it. I'm actually going to paint that gold. Probably these pieces gold as well. I gave him the arms and the shoulder blaster and the other blaster of the Siege version. And what I noticed comparing both of these is that the red around the wrist, around the nozzle of the thing on the shoulder, and around his cannon is a nice, deep, rich, crisp red. Here it's like it was haphazardly applied as a little bit pinkish. And if you didn't have the Siege to trade out the arms and stuff like I did, then this guy didn't have any of that red detail at all. This guy definitely has more paint and more, I guess, attention to detail. I will also note that the shoulders are not nearly as tight here as they are here. This just feels like this with some more fit and finish put into it. Here's the thing. This is an excellent Soundwave. The last Soundwave I'll ever need, ever gonna get, because this is what I wanted when I bought this, to be honest with you. I think this was overpriced. Much like I said in 2019, I'll never buy another Shockwave because you scammed me, and I have not bought another Shockwave. I'll never buy another Soundwave because you scammed me. But, that said, if you do get this Soundwave and his cassettes, I think you're gonna be really, really happy, because nothing screams G1 Soundwave goodness quite like Legacy United. Let me know what you think about this Soundwave and his little minions. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link, check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course, hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you're at it, hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel, and don't forget, not for a moment, not for a second, pardon me, that you do make a difference each and every single solitary day. And I'll look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old fashioned way right here inside the videos.